Infrastructure functions as the underlying support system for an economy. It delivers the services that dictate how efficiently a country manages industrial production and domestic trade. It is divided between social infrastructure, which builds human capital, and economic infrastructure, which relies on physical capital. India holds a massive baseline of physical capital. It maintains the second-largest road network in the world, spanning over 58 million kilometers, and operates the fourth-largest rail network globally. Yet this immense scale masks a severe efficiency paradox. The legacy logistics systems are plagued by physical friction and congestion, slowing down the movement of goods and driving up the cost of doing business. The transport sector's GVA share is 4.77%. Notice the massive disparity. Roads dominate at 3.06%, railways 0.75%, air 0.15%, and water 0.06%. Furthermore, rail reveals an alarming historical decline. In 1950, railways carried 86.2% of surface freight. By 2015, it plummeted to 33%. Immense scale without systemic integration is an economic liability. Modernizing this network requires abandoning isolated single-mode projects. The solution lies in building physical multimodal integration, funded through decentralized capital. This map illustrates the baseline road network across the country, overlaid with the mandate of the Bharatmala Pariyojana. This specific initiative targets the construction and upgrading of 34,800 kilometers of national highways to streamline freight movement. Executing construction at this scale hits an immediate financial roadblock. Traditional public funding is insufficient to cover the costs, forcing a shift toward private investment models and direct toll monetization. This flowchart maps out a primary financial mechanism solving that problem, the Infrastructure Investment Trust, or INVIT. It acts remarkably like a mutual fund. Institutional capital flows into the trust, which then purchases a completed public national highway. The ongoing toll yields from that specific highway are then routed straight back to the investors as a return. The rail sector faces an equally severe capacity issue. Look at the golden quadrilateral on this map, linking Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, and Howrah, along with its two diagonals. This specific geometry adds up to about 10,000 kilometers of track, but it carries over 55% of all revenue-earning freight traffic in the country. The core operational bottleneck on this exact network is competition. Heavy freight trains and high-volume passenger trains are forced to run on the exact same physical tracks, severely limiting the speed and frequency of both. To physically bypass this congestion, the government is constructing dedicated freight corridors. These lines completely decouple freight from passenger traffic. The Western Corridor links Dadri to Mumbai, while the Eastern Corridor connects Ludhiana down to Dankuni. The measurable impact of these corridors is significant. By removing passenger delays, the average speed of goods trains increases from an existing 25 km per hour to 70 km per hour, immediately lowering the aggregate logistics cost of transportation. Physical infrastructure requires operational reform to match. The Bibek-Debroy Committee recommended breaking the long-standing state monopoly on rail operations. By allowing private enterprise to run both freight and passenger trains, the system invites competitive efficiency and direct private investment into rolling stock. Restructuring the surface network relies on these two simultaneous actions: engineers physically separating conflicting traffic flows, while lawmakers financially open state monopolies to private capital. That same logic extends to the maritime borders. India possesses a 7,500-kilometer coastline, and the surrounding sea handles 95% of the nation's trade by volume, representing 68% of its total trade value. Yet inside those borders, water transport is severely underutilized. Inland water transport currently carries less than 2. Each zone acts as an agglomeration of coastal districts designed to stimulate port-linked industrialization. Feeding into these ports is the Jal Marg Vikas project. This develops National Waterway 1, an inland corridor pulling freight directly from the densely populated eastern states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and West Bengal to the coastal shipping nodes. The primary hurdle throttling this maritime expansion is administrative. The rigid legacy port trust model centralizes administration, heavily restricting how quickly major ports can modernize or expand their operations. This split schematic compares the operational shift mandated by the Major Port Authorities Bill of 2020. On the left is the legacy port trust, where the state operates everything. On the right is the new landlord model. Here, the state retains ownership of the land and regulatory authority, but leases the actual port infrastructure and daily cargo operations to private operators. This model delegates full power to local boards. They can now autonomously fix tariffs and enter direct public-private partnership contracts to develop massive strategic trade gateways, like the Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust in Maharashtra. A similar strategy of targeted intervention applies to civil aviation. The UDAN scheme uses subsidized seats and capped fares to financially activate unserved and underserved regional airports, specifically targeting short-haul flights between 200 and 800 kilometers. Maritime and air efficiency requires dredging water and paving runways, but the decisive factor is a legal shift to private operational management. None of these logistical nodes function without power. India is the world's third-largest energy consumer, yet it maintains a per capita energy consumption rate that is roughly one-third of the global average. This visualization reconstructs India's current energy mix. The baseline is heavily reliant on coal, which makes up 53.4%. Competing against that is a growing portfolio of renewable energy at 36.29%, followed by large hydro at 12.3%, and nuclear energy providing 1.8%. Expanding the grid requires a dual-layered approach. The SAU-BAGAY scheme pushes for universal household electrification, while parallel programs strengthen the transmission networks to guarantee consistent heavy load supply to industrial centers. The operational mandate tying this together is one nation, one grid, one frequency. This integrates disparate state power networks into a single, reliable distribution system capable of delivering power seamlessly across state lines. Running parallel to the electrical grid is the telecommunications infrastructure. India operates the world's second-largest telecommunications market, supporting a massive subscriber base of 1.16 billion people. To push this network further than urban centers, the BharatNet initiative carries a specific mandate. It aims to deliver affordable, non-discriminatory optical fiber broadband directly to all rural households in the country. High-speed dedicated freight corridors and automated landlord ports cannot scale effectively if they are built on top of an unstable energy or data grid. The digital and electrical networks are the mandatory foundation for the physical transport layer. The Rakesh Mohan Committee clearly stated that infrastructure assets fail when they are treated in isolation. They must be engineered as an integrated, multimodal system. This master map visualizes the convergence of the dedicated freight corridors, Bharatmala highways, coastal economic zones, and the energy and digital grid. Trace a piece of cargo, offloaded at a landlord port, transferred onto a dedicated freight corridor bypassing passengers, and tracked via BharatNet. This physical seamlessness exists entirely because of the invisible financial architecture supporting it. The concrete was poured because mechanisms like InvITs and public-private partnerships allowed institutional capital to fund it. India's infrastructure master plan goes beyond pouring concrete. It is a structural rewiring of state monopolies into a decentralized, privately capitalized, multimodal economic engine.